Are you ready to embrace something new or looking to change things up but you're afraid? Today we're talking about stretching yourself and getting uncomfortable on this episode of Coffee with Tea. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tonia and Valerie, and I'm excited because we have our favorite book person coming back and explaining to us how we can stretch our capacities and maybe even handle the negative criticism that we have doing our projects. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Valerie McDowell. Valerie, welcome back to the show. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Hey, Tanya, good to see you. Always good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Hey, I know you've had some premieres since we last talked, and I know you had your premiere on August the 28th, and that's when we really had the introduction. So anybody who has had a chance to go check that out, make sure you check out Valerie's debut on August the 28th, and then we also had her again on October the 13th. So again, make sure you check her out. She has great wealth of knowledge and nuggets that she's been sharing. So without further ado, she's going to bring us some more golden nuggets here. So please let us know what's been going on with you, Ms. Valerie, since the last time we talked.
Wow, a lot has been going on. This month of August is very busy. I have 4 projects that we're trying to wrap up this month. 2 are in the publishing phase in terms of we're on platforms ready to release. 1, I actually saw their book in French and German, and I was like, oh, it went everywhere already, you know? And then another one, I just literally, before I got on the call with you, sent out a final book cover, which I know my client's gonna be very excited about. And then we're wrapping up a 4th one. So yes, it's very busy, very exciting. And these are all first-time authors, so that makes it even more exciting, you know, to see people see their dreams come true.
Well, congratulations. And again, thank you for help, doing what you do, because like I said, probably so many of us have a book, we just don't know what it looks like. And then getting with someone like you who has that strength to draw it out of us, that's the amazing part. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hey, I know we talked about various topics, but I think I've been watching you on Facebook recently, and you've been talking about, yes, you're a Facebook Live famous person. So
thanks for watching.
Well, it's a pleasure. And I definitely say make sure you check her out on it's write it out on Wednesdays, correct?
Yes, Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And she has been talking about stretching yourself, and I love how you give us some examples of how that looks and what it could really help you bring in your life. So would you like to share some of those nuggets that you've been giving us on Facebook?
Wow. Okay. Let me recall. And I think when I talk about stretching, and I initially start with, there's a place I go called Stretch Works where I get stretched. So I physically get stretched, all those tight places, all those places, you know, on me from sitting, actually a lot as a writer, you know, that get tight. And often in our own lives that we have places in us that gets very tight, that needs to get stretched, often from not moving, as in not moving from where we are, you know, not willing to embrace something new. And a lot of times what it comes out as is resistance, you know, and because we don't want to do something new because we're comfortable. You know, that word comfortable, people's like, oh my God, I'm so comfortable. And that's good. I think I shared, like, that's good for clothing, for shoes, for bed or a couch, and even for a friendship. But in terms of your life, you know, you have to get uncomfortable sometimes. That there are uncomfortable situations and times. I mean, if you were working out, you know, that first time, you know, you go out with a trainer, they're going to stretch you and they're going to cause you to do some things that you haven't done. Like if you've never lift up weights, 5 pounds can seem like 50 pounds, you know, and that's stretching you because you haven't worked out with any pounds, you know. And so in our life that we have to be willing to allow for some of that uncomfortableness that comes with us doing something new, that we often don't like, but that really is necessary. So that's one of the nuggets, I would say, you know, getting uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, and I know we talked a little bit about being uncomfortable, and I know, like, so you bringing the idea that people have a book, that's really stretching them, because they're like, oh, I've never thought that I'd be an author, or you know, I say the same thing. Like, I've never thought I'd be on YouTube. So I mean, stretching can be difficult, but I know you said sometimes you know, you hit that comfortable stretch, and if you keep allowing that person that person to gently guide you, you'll get there. You know, and it doesn't happen over time, right?
It definitely takes some time. As a book coach, you know, part of what I do is I help get you to that finish line. I coach you through the process. And like you were saying, you know, many clients, you know, they've never written a book, you know, but they've had that idea. They know they want to write a book, and it could have been inside them for months, years, even decades for some people. And but part of the process is honing in that information, bringing it down to a place where we hear the genius. Like, I like to listen to people's life. Like, when they talk, I tend to hear what the topics are. I actually talked with a woman the other day, and she was talking and talking and talking a lot, but we weren't hitting on any particular areas where I saw a book. And the thing is, we all live interesting lives. There are all kinds of things happen to us, but is it a book? You know, so helping someone to understand that this is what, you know, someone is willing to read, like this is what your audience wants to read, versus that's just your life, you know, drama. You know, everything is not a book. So some of
Right.
the uncomfortableness, some of the stretching is in whether or not this is a book or not, you know. And for most of my clients, I'm proud to say that, you know, pretty much, you know, most of the people that I take on, it's because they have a book, you know, because that's what I do. I'm a book coach. So we help you get from idea to published. And so getting that idea out of you, that thing that has been, you know, kind of germinating inside and growing, but you don't have an outlet. So I help walk you through that, through different steps that I do with you, so that you see that book coming to life. And I think that's one of the great parts of being a book coach, is to see it come to life, and to see the look on the expressions and the emotions of my authors as they're like, oh my God, it's a book, it's happening. And so that's just always a fun time, just really when you see that coming together, you know. And so, yeah, I like that part.
So I mean, we never really dove into like, how do you determine if it's a book or not? And this is like something new that I'm learning. It's like, so what you do is just like listen to people, just listen as they pour out, or you know, how do you determine whether it's going to be a book or an interest of some sort?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, that's a great question, because for me, and it might be part of just my gift, is that I can hear certain things in what you say that's like a clue. You know, I feel the energy around certain ideas or thoughts that you may have, and I know whether or not, and I'll jot stuff down while you're talking. You know, I often record it so I can go back as well to listen to see now what they said, something that really stuck out. I didn't want to interrupt them because they were on a roll, but it's like if I go back and I'm like, there's something more in that. And so I think that there's energy around certain things, and the more energy and passion you have about a certain subject, or about your expertise, or how you were able to overcome something, you know, there may be something in that. And so we have to delve a little deeper. And I know that with most of my clients, that there has been some personal transformation taking place as they go through the process of writing their book, because they almost have to relive some of the experiences, you know, if they're talking about something they've gone through, or, you know, they're remembering, you know, how they felt in a particular moment, you know, if it was an illness, or, you know, the death of a family member or something like that, or how they responded because of something that happened on the job. You know, working on a book, on a business book with one of my clients. And so there are different experiences and things you bring out, or you take out, that's inside of you, and that until we kind of uncover it and unearth it, that you don't know that that's still in there. Like, you may not have dealt with that feeling or emotion about something that occurred, but it's in you. And so when something triggers it, you know, so in conversation, in talking, because, and another thing actually that happens is that people may have one idea about what they want to write about, but while we're talking, I'm like, I'm thinking maybe this is the book you need to write, like not that. Like, they may have this, or other people may have said, oh my God, you really should write a book about this. And in many cases, that part is probably right. but what they should write the book about is the part that you have to really work with them on. And for some people, it may be multiple books, and trying to get them to understand that you can't put everything in one book. That's always a fun process. It's like, let's save it for the second and third book, that we can't put all that in one book.
Right, right. So I want to remind our listeners who are checking us out, if you're getting any of the nuggets that Valerie is putting out, please make sure you hit that like button and give us some comments in the comments below. Let us know that you're enjoying us, because that's what helps us get our feedback. And also, I want to actually dive a little bit more into what you talked about, the uncomfortable. So when you're thinking about writing a book, and I know people come to you like, oh, I got this idea, and you start talking. I guess to be, and it sort of dives into the next subject we're going to talk about, but they have to sort of be comfortable with sharing their story, because it's going to bring up some uncomfortable, maybe some unconscious thoughts that they weren't aware of, correct?
Correct. That is really true, because, and one of the things that I actually have to say to people, if they've written something, about a particular chapter, for instance, if there's a chapter in their book and they're writing about something personal, I can always tell if they're being honest, because they skip over parts. And I read their books, their manuscript, I'll say, as if I'm the reader. And if I sense something's missing, then that other reader is going to sense something's missing too. And they're going to be like, wait a minute, you can't just say that and move on. No, I want to know what happened. If you talked about, oh my God, it was a horrendous marriage. And then you're like, but then I moved on and I married again and everything was great. And I'm like, whoa. I want to know what happened that allowed you to move past that to get to the great relationship, to then be in the life you're now. People want the details. I like the storytelling aspect of writing a book, because it's you have to have a beginning, a middle, and the end, and that's what people are looking for. That if you don't, tell them the complete story, or you leave out parts, I always say, if you're not willing to share it, either you're still dealing with it or we got to take it out, because we don't want to put in something that you're going to leave the audience wanting something, unless you're writing a book that's going to be a sequel,
Right.
Unless there's more to come, let's tell the truth. Because if the point of your book, which is actually part of the initial conversation, is why are you writing this book? What is the point? Who's it for? And what are you looking, what will your audience get out of it? And you need to be able to answer that question. And then another one is why now? Because that why now lets me know if you're really ready to write the book. Not because it's just been 10 years and I just got to get this done, but I think this is the right time to put this out, because I'm healed, because I've successfully moved on, because I know this will help someone, or this season we're in is exactly why my book needs to come out. You need to be able to very clearly state the purpose of your book.
I love it. I like I said, this is why I like having you come back on, because we can dive deeper into some things. We're stretching here. So
Yeah, we're stretching.
So basically, it's when you're ready to write a book, and I said, you're basically, you're helping them write the book, but you're basically an advocate for not only the author, but the audience, because you're pulling out the bits and pieces just not making sense or not adding up, correct?
Yeah, because no one wants to read a book, or I'll just say it like this, how many times have you read a book that you didn't finish, or went to a movie that was you don't want your book to be like that. I don't want your book to be like that, because my name's also in your book as your editor. So I don't want to put out junk. I want to put out the best product, not only for you that you can be proud of, but that your audience can tell someone else about, oh my God, you got to get this book. You got to read this book. Or that when you're trying to sell your book somewhere, or you're on a speaking tour or something, that people want your book, that you sell out of your book, because people are like, I know this person. I know their story. Oh my God, I got just a glimpse of it. And I want to know more. That's the book we want to write. We don't want to write a book where people are that's never a good response. Okay. Yeah.
I like that response, because I like I said, I can understand with movies, because you're quick to just turn out well, okay. I just wasted 2 hours of my time.
Exactly. Yeah, that should be the case.
So yeah, I can understand that. So how that sort of like dives, and then we might not have enough time because we're like down to our, like 5 minutes or so. But it's like time goes by so I mean, when you're ready to tell a story, you're actually like I said, pulling out the details to try to make sense. So and I don't think we're really going to have enough time, but this sort of helps you be able to prepare the negativity because there is going to be critics that come to your books, right?
Yeah. And there are always critics. I mean, in your life, there's going to be someone who doesn't like you just because, and as a result, they're not going to like your book. And it might be because they didn't do theirs. They wanted to get a book done themselves and you beat them to the punch. But it wasn't like you were competing with them. And the thing is, we're not in competition with anyone but ourselves. Make, your life better each day, not because you're in competition with someone else. And the same way with your book. It's like, let the critics come, but how Hollywood says, bad criticism, is still criticism. Somebody's talking about you, so if they're talking about you, that means they know of you and they've heard of you. Maybe they read your book and they're like, oh, look who they think they are, kind of thing. Right. So the thing is, you got to let that stuff roll off you like a duck on water. You just got to let it flow and be you. It's like critics come with everything you do. And the more you are walking in your authentic and true self, actually, the more critics you'll have. But that just means you're growing and being stretched, because if you stay and do the same thing you've been doing for years, nobody's going to bother you. Nobody's going to say anything. Right. But once you start stepping out and walking on water, here they come. Who they think they are walking on water? It's like, so go on out there, get your book out there, tell your story. It's going to be fine.
Right. I love how you share that. Plus it's like letting go of ego. So there are things that just need to be done, and writing that book may just be the thing you need to do that helps you heal, correct?
Yeah, because sometimes until you give voice to what's inside of you, you're never going to be healed or delivered from that thing. It's going to be a constant kind of recording in your head that plays over and over again. And the thing is it really true? Because until you write those thoughts out, write those feelings out, you might just be going off of what somebody said or what you think is supposed to. But until you tap into those feelings really inside of you, you may come out with a different feeling about like, you know what, I've thought about this all wrong all this time. So tapping in and really getting to the heart of a matter, really works in writing. Because then you get to see, like, wow, is that how I really thought about something? Yeah.
I like that. So again, Ms. Valerie, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. We're down to like the last couple of minutes, and I always love to give the time. Where can people find more information about you, your services, and what you do?
All right. So you can go to my website. It's www.power2excel.com, or you can join me live on Facebook on my Book Coach Accelerator page. That's a Book Coach Accelerator, where I'll be on Wednesday nights at 9:30 p.m. for Write It Out. But I'm always popping in there, sharing some good nuggets with you. And, you can always come there and find out what you need. And if you want to write a book, you can always reach out to me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you again for coming on. I love hearing your stories and giving us some wisdom because, like I said, I love being stretched as well. So, but it is scary. It is scary. So I haven't even got to the part of writing the book.
But you make it. You're the better off because of it.
Right. So again, I would love to have you come back on. We will schedule next time, and we'll dive a little bit more into embracing the change. So sure. Thank you again, Ms. Valerie, for coming back.
Thank you. And always thank you for the opportunity.
And I also want to remind everybody, feedback is always welcome. Emails, if you have any guests or show ideas, links to all of Valerie's information that she had mentioned will be posted in the comments below. Thank you for watching. We know that you enjoyed this video. If you give us a thumbs up and give us a comment below. And also, if you're getting any insight that you're loving from Ms. Valerie and all those other guests that have been coming on, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also, never forget, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. We'll see you again here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. So bye-bye for now. Share with us, what was one of your takeaways from today's show? Post your answers in the comments.